Iran's missile boat fleet just doubled. Why the U.S. Navy is watching closely. A silent surge in the Persian Gulf. In a move that has sent ripples across the naval corridors of Washington and Tel Aviv, Iran has just doubled its missile boat fleet. These fast attack craft, small but heavily armed, now pose a significant asymmetrical threat to the U.S. Navy and its allies in the volatile waters of the Persian Gulf. The timing is strategic. As diplomatic tensions escalate over Iran's nuclear program, Tehran is signaling that its military capabilities on the sea, once seen as outdated, are rapidly evolving. The missile boat, Iran's weapon of choice. Iran has long understood that it cannot go toe-to-toe with the U.S. Navy in a conventional sense. Its answer? Fast attack missile boats. These vessels, often less than 60 feet long, rely on speed, swarm tactics, and radar-evading profiles. Equipped with anti-ship cruise missiles like the Noor and Qadir, and even newer versions like Nasir and Abu Mahdi, these boats are capable of targeting and severely damaging much larger naval assets. Now, with their numbers nearly doubled, Iran has achieved what analysts call critical swarm mass. In other words, Iran could theoretically overwhelm even advanced air defense systems through saturation attacks using waves of these fast-moving boats. Inside the expansion, how did Iran do it? This dramatic expansion didn't happen overnight. Iran's Ministry of Defense and Armed Forces Logistics, along with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy, IRGCN, had been steadily building up production capacity in underground facilities and coastal shipyards like Bandar Abbas and Bushehr. Open-source intelligence indicates that between 50 to 100 new missile-capable fast boats were introduced into service in the past year. Many of these new vessels are believed to be modeled on the British Blade Runner design. Boats that can exceed 60 knots and carry serious firepower. The new boats come fitted with twin launchers for Noor-class missiles, range 120 km, stealth hull coatings to reduce radar signature, improved GPS/INS navigation systems, night vision and thermal imaging for nighttime operations, integrated drone launching decks for recon missions. Why the Strait of Hormuz just got more dangerous. About 20% of the world's oil supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway between Iran and Oman that is only 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. This choke point is now swarming with Iranian missile boats on constant patrol, a nightmare scenario for shipping companies and naval commanders alike. The new fleet's sheer numbers mean that Iran could launch surprise ambushes on tankers or warships, saturate enemy defenses using coordinated attacks, disrupt maritime traffic without full-blown war, force the U.S. Navy into defensive postures. Even with a U.S. carrier strike group nearby, the presence of hundreds of small missile boats limits America's strategic options. Retaliating against dozens of small, fast targets in shallow waters is far more complex than sinking a battleship. Swarm warfare. Iran's naval doctrine evolves. Iranian naval doctrine has shifted over the past decade from classic patrols and show-of-force maneuvers to advanced asymmetric and swarm warfare. The IRGCN, unlike Iran's conventional navy, specializes in guerrilla-style tactics at sea. Their strategy involves flooding the battle space with low-signature, high-speed boats, attacking from multiple directions simultaneously, employing shore-based missile batteries for overlapping coverage, using electronic warfare and decoys to confuse enemy radars, launching one-way kamikaze drones from boats during skirmishes. This expansion of missile boats strengthens that doctrine, allowing the IRGCN to strike preemptively or retaliate with overwhelming force during a conflict, all while avoiding direct confrontation with U.S. capital ships. The U.S. Navy's dilemma: quantity versus quality. The U.S. Navy still possesses overwhelming firepower and technological superiority. However, even Aegis-equipped destroyers and aircraft carriers have limitations. Missile intercept systems like the SM-2, RAM, or Phalanx CIWS are effective, but they aren't unlimited. The challenge lies in volume saturation. Each missile interceptor is precious and finite. Iran's expanded fleet increases the risk that even a few boats will break through the shield and land a hit on a billion-dollar U.S. vessel. This threat has forced the U.S. Navy to Deploy more littoral combat ships, LCS, equipped for shallow water ops. Experiment with laser and microwave weapons for point defense. Increase drone surveillance over the Gulf. Coordinate more closely with regional allies like Bahrain, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. One key development: U.S. Navy ships are now carrying more MH-60 or Seahawk helicopters, which can detect and neutralize fast attack craft from the air before they swarm. Iran's message to the world: don't underestimate us. By doubling its missile boat fleet, Iran is sending a message far beyond the Persian Gulf. It's showing that it can disrupt international shipping, strike with speed and surprise, and survive retaliation, all at a fraction of the cost of traditional naval warfare. This naval buildup aligns with other military developments: continued production of Shahid series drones, deployment of hypersonic missile prototypes, underground missile depots along the coastlines. Iran is betting that its low-cost, high-threat strategy will allow it to punch above its weight and deter aggression from much larger foes. How Israel and Gulf states are reacting. Israel has stepped up intelligence sharing with the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. It has also accelerated testing of the Sea Dome system, a naval version of the Iron Dome, for use on Sa'ar-6 corvettes patrolling the Red Sea and beyond. This hybrid capability, combining drone recon, missile boats, and coastal radar, creates a lethal mosaic of layered threats. U.S. ships would have to fight in 3 domains at once: sea, air, and electronic. What happens if war breaks out? If hostilities erupt in the Gulf, Iran's expanded missile boat fleet will likely be the first line of attack. Analysts believe Iran could. However, such a conflict would also risk massive retaliation. The U.S. could respond with Tomahawk cruise missiles, cyber attacks, or even airstrikes on shipyards. But by then, the damage to global oil markets and shipping lanes may already be done. Conclusion: a new era of asymmetrical naval power. Iran's decision to double its missile boat fleet is not just a military maneuver. It's a geopolitical chess move. Inexpensive, fast, and dangerous, these vessels give Iran the power to punch far above its naval weight. For the U.S. Navy, the challenge is now more complex than ever. While aircraft carriers and destroyers remain dominant on the high seas, the shallow waters of the Persian Gulf are no longer safe havens. The battle for maritime supremacy in the Middle East is evolving, and the next flashpoint may not come from a supercarrier, but from a 50-foot missile boat racing toward it at 60 knots. Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more captivating content on our YouTube channel.